to there. That's Chip Foose's FD-100 by Revell. So I'll get that intro going and we'll go from there. Okay guys, as you may have just guessed, I just put a little bit of primer on one of our pieces. I've been doing some custom work on this guy. It's kind of ironic, I'm doing custom work on a custom truck. One of the things invariably, when you do something like what I've done with customizing an engine in an automobile of anything really, when you do a real car or you do a model, you wind up having to do either some fabrication, or you need to remove something or move something or make something, whatever it is. As you guys know, I've put the blower on this thing, which is not what the kit came with. I've put a blower on this engine, which means it's going to be sitting higher in the hood. I'm going to have to put a hole in the hood to fit the air cleaner, whether I use the actual kit air cleaner, which looks a little out of place on this, to be honest. I was thinking of using the air cleaner out of the kit, but it's going to look a little out of place. So I think I am going to use the actual butterflies. Anyway, I was looking at the radiator and where the radiator sits on this thing, and I wound up realizing in order to get the radiator in on this kit, I have to cut the radiator. And so what I've done is I've made a humongous hole in the rad. And so the fan belt literally sits inside the rad for the rad to fit on the kit. So let me change the camera here. I'll show you what I've done. I got up real early this morning, grabbed my Dremel, and I dremeled out a great big hole in our rad here. Let me move my coffee out of the way. Dremeled out a huge hole. Basically the rad's cut in half now. And then I made a little fan shroud out of a piece of styrene. I grabbed a piece of paper and I kind of cut it to match the curvature of the rad like that, and then so that I could bend it over like this and basically make myself a little fan shroud like that, right? And so I did that with a piece of styrene, and now I've got some putty on there just to fill in gaps and holes that I've made, and I got to let that cure, and then I'm going to sand it down and make it smooth, and I'll paint that black to look like a fan shroud. Basically, that's what I'm doing. So that's going to be a project for later on. Okay, today we're going to finish up a couple of things on the chassis, and then I'm going to focus mostly on getting a coat of paint on our body, which is why I was hitting that piece over there with some primer, because I want to see. I have never painted anything with these Pro Scale paints. Okay, these guys here, Pro Scale. That's the color. That's the paints I'm going to be using on this thing. So I want to lay down a coat of silver first over our black. This is the sparkling silver candy base. Okay, I'm going to put some silver down on that. These are already pre-mixed and thinned, ready to paint right out of the bottle. Okay, but as you can see, I haven't even opened them yet. I've never painted with these, so I don't know how it's going to go down. I've seen decent things online, so I'm hoping for the best. So anyway, let's go back to our chassis here. Last time we got our engine installed and we got our exhaust pipes in. Okay, we got those in. So next is the rear end and the drive shaft. Those got to go in. So I have the rear end assembled. Remember, I put that together yesterday. Okay, so that's in. We got to grab our drive shaft. Grab our drive shaft here. Painted that aluminum yesterday, so that can go in with our rear end. Make sure you don't trim that off here. You've got a peg that needs to be retained. Okay, so leave the little pegs on the end. Okay. So let's flip this over. So our rear end is going to go in with these brackets facing upward. Okay. and they're going to go in a little cradle right here, just like that. Unfortunately, this does lead to this kind of thing. There's nothing really stopping you from getting the angle wrong, other than you want to get the angle correct for your drive shaft. I'm going to put the little nub that's on the shaft, I'm going to face that up so that it doesn't get seen. Basically, this is going to go into the transmission like this, and then I'm just going to line that up in there, that. And I will say Revell has done a pretty good job at making this kit fit together pretty good. There we go. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so let's prevent that. That was a good dry fit, right? It's a good dry fit there. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the tip of our drive shaft this time, so it doesn't want to fall out so easily. So now that'll sit better. And then take our rear end and put a little glue. This sits that, so we need to put glue on these sides of the little marks, like this, and this, and I'm going to do that. Line that up there. There we go. All right. Now it's in. Now, of course, you could rotate this a little bit depending on what it needs to be done. So the first thing I want to do is get our shocks before the glue cures. I want to put our shocks in. Okay, number 26. I already have those painted. I just got to dig them out of the box here. These guys here. Painted a little bit of aluminum, and I painted the springs red. It says in the instructions just to paint the whole thing aluminum. I thought that's a little boring. Straight up aluminum is a little boring for these. There we go. Okay, they go in. These little holes are going to line up with our pegs, and then it looks like this little angle piece, if I get that in this little angle piece is going to go towards the inside. That's what it looks like anyway. So let's do this. It looks like there's a little notch in the frame for it. Like that. And that's well perfect. And that tells me I've got my angle correct on that too. That was ridiculous. There we go. Sorry if I'm doing all this a little bit off camera. Alright, there's our shock in. Okay, just like that. This guy right there. let's get our next one. This one I'm going to be a little bit smarter. I'm going to do this so that when I put the shock on there, it might be inclined to actually stay on there. Let's make sure I'm lined up on the hole in the frame, or should I say the notch on the frame. There we go. Okay, 2 shocks installed. I'm going to put a little bit more sprayed on there and there. Okay, that's our shocks. Okay. Now we have our ladder bars that go for the rear end also. Okay, 27, number 27. And those get painted black, and they're going to go in between the axle and these big blocks here. Okay, so let's grab those. There's number 27. I call them ladder bars. I'm not sure if they're, I would say probably more like 4-link suspension. Could be the more accurate description. Here we go. We also have our steering rack that's going to go on the front there. And that's a different sprue altogether. But let's focus on these. Okay. Other than the fact that they've got a couple of what look like bolts, it doesn't look like these are any left or right kind of thing. These look the same. These look the same regardless of your side. What I do need to fix on them, however, is the nub mark from the tree or the sprue. So it looks a little nasty. These had a little nub in between that kind of bridged them, and I clipped it off when I was painting, but obviously didn't get it all cleaned up properly. I got it cleaned up to what I thought was good, but obviously not good enough. Can you guys see what I'm doing? I keep on doing this stuff off camera. Let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. That might be a little better. Okay, so we want to have our pointy part, this guy here, the point, that's going to face forward. And I'm just going to change my glasses. I keep having to lift my glasses off my face in order to see up close here. You know, when you get older, your eyes just don't work like they did when you were younger. So this is going to go in like this. Get that lined up on the rear end first. It's actually a little tricky here. It's got a little notch on the rear end. I think that's where that needs to go in. Yeah, once you get that notch lined up, it slides in there like that. And it just kind of sits like that. Okay. Sits like that on your frame. It's a little bit hard to see, everything's black, right? But a little bit of glue there. I think it's actually supposed to sit off the side of the frame a little bit, like this. Put some down in there. Just make sure I got glue everywhere I need it. There we go. So there's one side. Obviously I'll have to touch up on the paint a little bit there. So then we'll put this one in, get that lined up on the front axle first. And then this one's, there we go. It's not quite, this one's a little bent. They're actually both just a hair, just a tiny bit bent. Just a tiny, tiny bit. This one more so. Our bars are bent, so what I'm going to do is just shave off a little bit on this side here. Where's my knife? There it is. Let's just shave this off a little bit. And see if we can get that fit a little nicer. So that our bars are not visually bent on there. That up again. That fits a little bit nicer now. Yeah. And this one I'm going to do the same thing before the glue sets. Scrape that a little bit. There. Just help that out. Just that little bit. It's just a little slightly too tight of a fit. There we go. Okay. Get it lined up, and now we'll put some glue on there. And obviously reapply on this side too. There we go. Okay. So our 4 links are in. So there we go. Okay, little rods going across there, and they're not bent now because of that shaving we did to clean that up. Okay. Let's see. Number 54, we've got our brake discs, and number 20, our front steering rack. Looks like our steering rack just goes to the wheels themselves while the discs go on there. So where's my steering rack? Right here. Okay, and then we have number 54, which are these two. Obviously I pre-painted these. You guys saw me paint the disc silver, and then I took my LP1 gloss black and painted the rotors. So this little notch here is where the steering rack is going to go into, kind of like this, right? Maybe it's just like this. In any case, so our rotors go in like that, but I think you got to have, see this notch? This notch right here? you want to have this flat side like this facing front, and then have this notch here basically facing up, okay, on the top side, which means this particular one here with this notch that looks like that, okay, where you have it, where I put my knife down there and now I'm hitting that edge. This one here is going to go on this side, okay, right there. And I'm thinking I want to paint this part flat black to match everything there. So it just looks kind of weird that that's silver. Or actually kind of white. So that needs to be painted black. So I'm just going to grab my flat black and we'll quickly paint this up. Close up my glues. Move this aside for now. Like I said, I want to focus more on the body today, but these little bits require some detail also. So I'm going to paint this black. Just going to get in there. Concerned about the part I'm going to see, right? And I'll leave that notch because, well, I want to be able to get glue in there and actually glue it together, so. And I can always touch up parts later. It's kind of a thing you're probably not going to see once I got the wheels on. But you never know until it's assembled, and so, and of course once it's assembled you can always run into that situation where you can see that it's not painted but you can't get in there anymore. And so to avoid that, paint it ahead of time. Okay, so that's that. Now I'm going to take a look at my other ones. Where did I put that sprue with my other wheels? Oh, there it is. While these are here, I might as well do these ones also. Just do them ahead of time, why not? Then I won't have to do it later. There's one. All right. Okay, those are done. Yes, I'm going to have to do some touch-up later once I actually get them assembled, but for now, those are done. I got to clean my brush. All right. Okay, so with those done, let's grab one of these and install it onto our wheel just like that. Okay, brake caliper faces the back. Okay, so let's put some glue on our stub here. Brake caliper on, just like that. Okay, just like that. Give it a bit of a squeeze, and it's on. Okay. Next one. There is a bit of a notch that they fit in, so when you can feel that notch lined up. A little bit of a squeeze, and that one's in. And finally we have our steering rack. Okay. It doesn't look like this has got a top or a bottom to it. There's no pegs, no nothing, it's just the way it is. And so it's going to sit down in there like that on our brake discs. So I'll put a little glue there on that side and there and on that side. And we'll get it lined up. Onto those notches, and there we go. It does kind of sit on the frame, but not really. It does just kind of sit on the brake, on our wheels, and it's kind of just happy sitting there like that. I look really closely, it doesn't look like it's actually touching the frame. If I pushed on it, I could get it to sit on the frame and add 2 more points where it's going to contact, but it's quite alright, just like that. So if I get up a little closer for you, you can see how it sits like that. Okay. Okay, let's turn it around the right side. Okay, there's our brake discs and our steering rack in there. Okay, here's another look at our rear end. Okay, with our 4 links and our springs in there. Okay, there we go. Okay, I don't want to put this down on the wheels yet because it is freshly glued. And it looks like that finishes off this page. We got decals to put on the disc brakes, Foose decals, of course, but I'll do those later. And that finishes off this page. This is done. So we flip over, and we're going to work on this and put on our rear brakes. Okay, so we've got our front lower suspension with the anti-sway bar, number 19 and 21. So here's the anti-sway bar. Okay. And while I've got that, I'll just get rid of this thing. Okay, and then that guy's done now. This guy here. There we go. I did say earlier when we first went live, I did say I want to focus on the body today, and here I am finishing off the suspension and the chassis, but that's okay, we'll get to the body. Okay, so first thing we need to do is put in our sway bar, which is going to go in here. Kind of leave it a little ambiguous. It looks like it goes in right there and there. Yeah, okay. So it's simply just two little notches right there and there for the bar to go into. And that is it. And it just kind of sits there. Like that. Okay. And then this is going to go in on the chassis. We've got two pegs that are going to go lined up there. So flip this over and hopefully it's all nice and happy. There we go. We are in. We've got a few contact points where it actually contacts our wheels, and then of course on the frame itself. It actually fits quite nicely along there, and it lines up nicely on the back of our wheels. I will say Revell did a pretty good job at making sure everything fits together nice on this kit. Which is, you know, a little surprising for Revell. Usually their suspension parts leave a little to be desired when it comes to exactly how it all aligns, but this piece lines up in multiple spots and actually sits down pretty good. I can't complain about that. I am going to hold it just for a second. This my glue is to me a quick setting, so just hold that for a sec. So there we go. We've got our lower suspension in there, or lower A-arms anyway, I'd say, cross member. Sitting in there nice and pretty, just like that. Okay. And then we have our rear brakes to put on. Okay. And these are also going to have the rotors facing the rear, but these do not have any bars or anything to go on. So there's a flat spot on them to help you guide it in there, and sure enough it fits just like that. But because there is a flat spot, these are not quite as precise as the front, but that's quite all right because they don't have to be. Okay. A little bit of glue on there. Stick it on the axle. And I'll just kind of make sure it's straight. Just like that. Okay. Do our other one. And do the same thing. And just kind of make sure it's straight on there. Give them a little bit of a push to help that glue out. Make sure they're straight up and down too. That's important. There we go. Straight up and down and straight forward and back. There we go. Okay, so there's our rear discs in, just like that. Okay, so next of course is the wheels, but we're going to deal with the wheels later. Okay, the wheels are going to be later. I want to focus now on the body. Okay, we're going to skip the interior because I want to get to the body itself. See, they'd have you start by putting the windows in, but we got to do a painting. Okay, so I'm going to skip the windows. We're going to go to this here. Like I said, I've already put the roof on there. Okay, that's already done. Okay, so I got to put in this. Looks like our front. I don't know what you call it. Let's see. I'm just going to move our little chassis over here and out of the way for now. Okay, so we got to grab our main body, and we got to grab number 6 and 57. This is 57 right here. I just painted this morning. Okay, you guys saw me just as I started. We got to grab number 6. I believe this is number 6 right here. This is the front panel where everything goes together. We'll see how this is going to fit. It looks like, unlike most model kits where you put the interior, usually you have your interior bucket go into the body. Instead, on this one, the interior goes onto the frame, and then you drop the body down over top of it. Okay, so first things first, we take this guy, and he's going to go in right here, like that. So I'm going to scrape this away just a little bit, like this. Let's get rid of a little bit of that paint. Let's see how this fits in there. So it goes in like this. That's backwards. It goes in like this. If I hold it there, okay, yeah, so it just sits like that. So I'm going to scrape all of this out like that. Just like that. And if I can get in here, just like that, scrape away just a little tiny bit. A little hard to get in there with the knife, but okay, there we go. So, dab of glue there, a little dab of glue there, that. And this goes in. we go. We're in. Notch is in pretty good to make sure your fenders are lined up. Okay, if you're like me, don't be like me and move it around a bunch of times after putting in the glue. You wind up having to re-glue it. Okay, so that's in. Is it in? I keep seeing, it seems like I really want to move it around a lot. What I'm trying to do is make sure it's flush. And in the spot it belongs. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. Now I'll let that sit for a second. Let that dry. And I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Okay. So next we have this guy. And obviously he's going to be flipped around. And he's going to go in here. Somehow. It looks like the side with these little braces, like that, go towards the back. I don't think it sits like this. I think it goes on the inside. Yes, it does. So those braces are going to line up with our inner fender wells. I believe what's going to happen is this is going to line up. One side's in. There we go. Kind of lined up, but not quite. There we go. It is a tight fit. Make sure this hasn't slid back. Yeah, see? It wants to slide back. Okay, we are in. We're in, and that's where we are. Okay. So, glue kind of around in here. Everywhere that I can reach with my glue brush. Including our inner fender well where it touches. Right, so that's that. Just like that. We've got our crossbar in, and we're good to go. So I want to do a test fit with my hood. I'll find my hood here somewhere. Test fit of the hood. I got a big fingerprint in there, big greasy fingerprint. I found that the hood kind of wants to sit with a lip like that, and it kind of got to convince it a little bit, like that. I'm kind of tempted to paint the whole thing with the hood on it like this. I might tape the hood down on the inside just so the hood stays on, so I can paint it all as one. I think is going to be the most prudent way to do this one, to do this guy. So I'm going to get some tape, and we're going to tape it. probably overkill for keeping the hood on. It's a pretty tight fit. It feels like it's not really going to go anywhere, but at the same time, you never know. So I would rather have more tape than I need on the inside there than to not have enough. Okay. So there's that. All right. So that's that part there. Those three parts are now together. I've put the hood on temporarily, and then we've got that. Then we have our rear bucket. We're going to have our two pieces go together there. Okay. That is this guy and the box. They go together. And again, this is I've test fitted this straight out of the box. It's a pretty tight fit. So I got that side together. This has a little bit of a gap there at the front. There we go. Now the gap's closed. And we've got a gap at the back. There we go. Like I said, it's a pretty snug fit. But it fits. Okay. Pretty good fit. So I'm actually going to use, I want to keep it together. I'm going to use my regular extra thin, not the quick setting type. Just because it acts more like the thicker glue in that it's nice strong bond. Go. Okay, so there's that together. So there's an idea of what this is going to look like when this sits like that. Okay. I do believe the instructions say to put this down on the frame and line it up there. If we're just going to do a little test fit, this goes down like that. You basically glue the frame to those 4 points like this, just like that, and then you have it sit like that. Okay, I'm doing that way off camera, sorry. Again, you do it like that. Okay, glue our 4 points of the frame, and then it sits like that. Right, like that. Okay. Now it would look kind of cool, you know, flat black truck. It always looks pretty mean, but we're not doing that, right? We're going to paint this with our primary color of silver today. I do have my air compressor already fired up, so it's just a matter of laying down some silver. Okay, so first thing I need to do is decide how I'm going to hold on to this. I think that should be good enough. I will have to wear my glove, but I can do this so I can get at all the angles everywhere with the silver, and that'll be fine with that one. This one's going to be the challenge because I need to get in everywhere. I don't think I can hold it by the front. I could hold it like this and spray, but then when it comes to getting the back, if I try and do this, it's going to touch there and I'm going to ruin my paint. So I'm going to try one of my heavier duty clips. This one holds all on its own. Now our bumper does go across here, so I can probably get away with that. And just kind of hold this, but it does want to do this. And I don't want it touching there. See, that is the problem, right? So I'm going to do what I did before when I primed this, and I just taped a stick on the inside there. Let's put a couple of strips. You know, priming it and the stick happens to come loose, that's no big deal. But now that I'm actually putting color down, I want this stick to stay in there, right? There we go. We got a stick in there now. Okay. All right. So, let's put this aside, and I'll get my painting cam set up here. Let's just make sure. Yeah, should be good. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to be using our Pro Scale paints. Like I said, I haven't even opened these yet. So I'll take the protective plastic cover off of our jar. I did get these directly from Pro Scale, okay, from their website directly, and you know, they actually shipped them to me pretty quick here in Canada. Can't really complain about how long it took to get them. I am going to put a little ball in the jar just to help it mix. Well, they even have a breakaway seal. Yeah, see all that pigment up at the top there? So I want to make sure this is mixed very well. Okay. So obviously a lot of pigment in there. So I just realized you guys never get to see what it is that I've got down here that I'm mixing my paint with. I bought this thing a while ago. It's a mixer. It's an electric mixer for mixing paints. Got a little motor in there, and yeah, it just does that. It just spins around, right, like that. And mixes your paints way better than you can mix them on your own. And that's what I use. And that's what I got sitting down there. Still got a lot of pigment up top there, so I'm going to actually use a brush and get some of this. See, that's a lot of pigment goop that needs to be spread around. Now, I'm not sure what kind of thinners I need to use for this stuff. I don't know if Mr. Leveling Thinner works with this paint or not. That's something I'd have to try and, you know, do a little research online. I don't know if it's lacquer based or alcohol based or what kind of base they use for this stuff. There we go. Having done that with my brush, I might as well use my brush to fill the cup. Okay. They really do put a lot of silver pigment in this. We'll give them that. Okay. I'm going to clean my brush before the paint dries on it. And we'll see. Obviously lacquer thinner works great for cleaning it. Oops, sorry about that. And get my little glove on. I realize I've spent an hour working on our frame and chassis when I really intended to get the body going on this. But anyway, I'll spend the next minute or so doing this. Change the camera. Hello. And we'll see how this stuff looks, how it sprays. Okay. It's very shiny and silvery, that's for sure. Tape on the inside of the body is not very good. I am just doing a light coat, even though this is coming out really silver. I am just doing a light coat here. It's a first coat to get some coverage on it. There's a whole lot of metallic in that, that's for sure. My stick on the inside did not stick very well. Okay, let's set that down here. Actually, I'm going to let that hang. It's going to let this hang like this. Okay, I'll grab the other part of the body. Definitely a unique paint. I'll tell you that right now. It doesn't spray like Tamiya silver or anything like that. It's got so much metal flake. It's almost a ridiculous amount of metal flake in it. Over the black, it really just looks like gunmetal almost. Okay, let that dry for a second. Let's grab our body again. We have our silver coat done. Just making sure I got everywhere. I would like to get inside the engine compartment, but that might not be a luxury I have right now. Okay, let's hang that again. Let's just see Well, it dries really quick too. It dries fast like Tamiya paint. So that is nice. Which means I can get kind of underneath there a little bit too. Sometimes getting all the angles is a challenge. I'm just going to lay this down. I will say, the more coats I put on this, the more silvery it is becoming. So it might mean I need to put more silver on it. So I don't want to touch it. Get out of the way, grab this again. So this is still looking a little black. That's better. Okay, so that is what I'm going to call done. Silver's done. Okay, so we're going to let that dry. Just going to hang this up again. Let that dry. I will say that silver has the most metal flake in it that I have ever painted in the past. That's a lot of metal flake. And yeah. So, with the silver being done, that's where I'm going to end it for today, guys. And I want to remind you guys to hit that like button and hit subscribe. So we've got a collaboration that's going to be coming up. We're going to build a couple of Porsches with my fiance, and we're going to have her on the camera for the first time, and we're going to do all that fun stuff, and we'll do that once I hit 1,000 subscribers. So the faster you guys hit that subscribe button, the faster you'll get to see us do that together. Okay? Also check out the links below in the description box, and you'll see links to my Instagram where I upload pictures of everything that I've built. Once I finish completing a build, I take a few pictures and I throw it up on my Instagram. Throw it up? I don't know, throw it up. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for watching and thanks for coming out. And we're going to see you all in the next one.